అండి, నేను మీ ప్రియాంక. వెల్కమ్ టు లర్నింగ్ లెన్స్ ఛానల్. టుడే we are going to discuss the topic that is relationship between zeros and coefficient of a polynomial. In polynomials we are discussing the topic relationship between zeros and coefficient of the polynomial. We already know that zero. So firstly we need to know the zeros and then coefficients of a polynomial. So already we have discussed about zeros of a polynomial. If anyone has doubt about the zeros of a polynomial, I will give the link in the I button or check it in the description. The link will be available. Please go through it. Okay. So we are discussing the relationship between zeros and coefficient of the polynomial. So what is the polynomial? P of x, that is ax square plus bx plus c. So what is meant by coefficient? Here c is nothing but constant term. What is c? Constant term. C is nothing but constant term. So what is the coefficient of x? So what is lying beside the x is the coefficient of x. So what is lying beside the x? B. What is b here? Coefficient of x. B is nothing but coefficient of x. So what is this? X square. So what is the coefficient of x square? A. Why? Because what is lying beside the x square is the coefficient of x square. So what is lying beside the x square? A. So A is the coefficient of x square. So let us take a linear polynomial. So what is the linear polynomial? It should be of the form, linear form, polynomial is of the form ax plus b, where a is not equal to 0. So here p of x is equal to ax plus b is the linear polynomial where a is not equal to 0. So if a is 0, then it will become a constant term. So it will not become a linear polynomial. So a should not be equal to 0. Let alpha be the 0 of the polynomial. So we already know that what is 0 of polynomial? The x coordinate where the graph is touching is the 0 of the polynomial. So we are going to write the relationship between the 0 and the coefficients, that is alpha is equal to minus b by a. So here the 0 of the polynomial is equated to the minus b by a. What is minus b? What is b here? Constant term. So minus write down as it is. B is nothing but constant term. And what is a here? Coefficient of x. So for the linear polynomial, alpha is the 0 of the polynomial. So for this 0 of the polynomial, we are equating to the coefficient of the x. So now we can say that there exists a relationship between the alpha, that is 0 of the polynomial, and coefficient of the polynomial. So alpha is equal to minus of constant term by coefficient of x. Alpha is equal to minus of constant term by coefficient of x. Understood? Now we will discuss about the quadratic polynomial. Okay. So what is the quadratic polynomial? P of x is equal to ax square plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0. So what happens if a equal to 0? If a is 0, this term will become 0. So then it will become the linear polynomial. So a should not be equated to 0. Okay. So now here for quadratic polynomial, how many zeros will be there? 2 zeros. So let it be alpha comma beta. Alpha comma beta be the zeros of polynomial. So for linear polynomial, how many zeros will be there? Only 1. There we discussed there alpha. Alpha is the 0 of the polynomial. So since it is linear polynomial, it is having only 1 0. So it is a quadratic polynomial, it is having 2 zeros. So alpha beta be the zeros of the polynomial. So alpha plus beta. What is alpha plus beta? Sum of the roots and summing the roots. So sum of the roots equal to minus b by a. So what is b? Coefficient of x. So minus of coefficient of x by, what is a here? Coefficient of x square. So sum of the roots is alpha plus beta, that is equal to minus b by a. That is nothing but minus of, what is b here? Coefficient of x, and what is a here? Coefficient of x square. So next, alpha beta. What is alpha beta? Product of the roots. So I am producting the two roots, alpha and beta. So what is the product of the roots? C by a. So what is C here? Constant term. What is a here? What is a here? Coefficient of x square. Coefficient of x square. So now we have learned how to calculate the sum of the roots and product of the roots. So sum of the roots is nothing but sum of the zeros. We are adding the sum of the zeros here. Product of the zeros. So minus b by a. Here c by a. C by a is nothing but c is constant term and a is coefficient of x square. Understood? Now we will discuss how to find the polynomial if alpha and betas are known. Okay. So now we need to find the polynomial. So if alpha or alpha beta are known, how to find the polynomial? So here for linear polynomial. If for linear polynomial alpha is known. If we know alpha, then how we can write the polynomial? P of x is equal to k into x minus alpha. Suppose alpha, that is 0 of the polynomial, is 2. So how we can write k of x minus 2? Okay. So that is the polynomial. So now for quadratic polynomial. Quadratic polynomial. So how we can find the polynomial for quadratic? So if we know alpha comma beta, then we can find the polynomial. That is p of x is equal to x square minus k into x square minus alpha plus beta into x plus alpha beta. So why we are writing k, we will understand in the later sections. Okay. So p of x is equal to k into x square minus alpha plus beta into x plus alpha beta. So if alpha beta are known, we can find the polynomial by using this expression. So if alpha plus beta and alpha beta, that is sum of the roots or product of the roots, is given as 2 and 3, then also we can find the polynomial just by substituting 2 in the place of alpha plus beta and 3 in the place of alpha beta. That is equal to k into x square minus 2x plus 3. So if alpha beta are given, we can find the polynomial. Even though if alpha plus beta value is given or alpha beta, that is sum of the roots or product of the roots, is given, also we can find the polynomial. Understood? Up to now we have discussed about linear polynomial and quadratic polynomial. For linear and quadratic we have discussed the zeros and the coefficients of the polynomial. So now cubic polynomial. So what is the form of the cubic polynomial? P of x is equal to ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d, where a is not equal to 0. So if a is 0, what happens? Then it will not be visible. It will become 0. So then it will become the quadratic polynomial. So here a should not be equal to 0. So for cubic polynomial, what are the zeros? So alpha, beta, gamma are the zeros. So for linear polynomial, what are the zeros? Alpha. And for the quadratic polynomial, what are the zeros? Alpha and beta. For the cubic polynomial, what are the zeros? Alpha, beta and gamma. So alpha comma beta comma gamma are the zeros of the polynomial. So now we are writing sum of the zeros. That is sum of the roots, alpha plus beta plus gamma. That is equal to minus b by a. What is b here? Minus of coefficient of x square by what is a here? Coefficient of x cube. Coefficient of x cube. So now what is the sum of the product of two zeros taken at a time? So I am taking two zeros at a time. So sum of the product sum. So I am taking the sum. product of two zeros at a time. So beta gamma plus gamma alpha, that is equal to C by A. So what is C here? Coefficient of x by coefficient of x cube. So now alpha, beta, gamma, that is d by A. So what is d here? Constant term. So alpha, beta, gamma is minus d by A. So constant term by coefficient of x cube. So now what we are writing? The relationship between the zeros and the coefficients of the polynomial. So we are equating the zeros with the coefficients of the polynomial. So sum of the roots is minus b by a. Here product of the two roots taken at a time. So that roots we are taking as sum. So sum of the product of two roots taken at a time, that is c by a. Alpha, beta, gamma is minus d by a. So sum of the roots and sum of the product of two zeros taken at a time and product of the roots. So here we are equating the zeros of the polynomial to the coefficients of the polynomial. That is nothing but finding the zeros with the coefficients of the polynomial. Understood? So now we know about alpha, beta and gamma. So we can find the cubic polynomial. So if alpha, beta, gamma are known, so p of x is equal to k into x cube minus alpha plus beta plus gamma into x square plus alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha into x minus alpha beta gamma. Okay. So how we can find the polynomial? By using this expression. If we know alpha, beta and gamma, by using this expression we can find the polynomial. So p of x is equal to k into x cube minus alpha plus beta plus gamma into x square plus alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha into x minus alpha beta gamma. Or otherwise, if sum of the roots, product of the roots and sum of product of two roots, product of two roots at a time. So if we know the sum of the roots, product of roots and sum of product of two roots at a time, if we know these three also, we can find the polynomial. That is p of x is equal to k into x cube minus sum of the roots into x square plus sum of the product of two roots at a time. Sum of product of two roots at a time into x product of roots. So if we know alpha, beta, gamma, we can find the cubic polynomial as p of x is equal to k into x cube minus alpha plus beta plus gamma into x square plus alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha into x minus alpha beta gamma. Otherwise, if sum of the roots, product of the roots, sum of product of two roots taken at a time, value is given for this like 2, minus 3, 4. Then how we can do it? P of x is equal to k into x cube minus, what is sum of roots given? 2. So in the place of sum of roots I am keeping 2. 2 into x square plus sum of the product of two roots, how much? 4. So 4 into x minus, what is the product of the roots given? Minus 3. So minus 3 into minus 3, how much? Plus 3. That implies p of x is equal to k into x cube minus 2x square plus 4x minus into minus plus 4x plus 3. So if these values are given, we can find the polynomial by this method. Understood? If you like my content, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.